Now, to apply this dilemma, then to Joseph Nye's 3 dimension of goals, means and consequences, and to round up this part of the discussion. This is what he says, and I quote, "We tend to make moral judgments in terms of the 3 dimensions, often with a delicate weighing of the trade-offs among them. Because of their special roles, we often put more weight on consequences when judging others. At the same time, if followers allow leaders to argue that the duties of their roles require them to think only of consequences, they may slip into a self-justificatory style that too fully detaches them from other rules of moral behavior." And it ends by saying that conscience and the search for a sense of personal integrity can be an important limit on the slippery slope of such overly permissive morality. So the question is, are there moral limits in the public square? In 2001, the New York Times published a story about a company in China that offers an unusual service. If you need to apologize to someone, an estranged lover or a business partner with whom you had a falling out, and you can't quite bring yourself to do so in person, you can hire the company, which is called the Tianjin Apology Company, to apologize on your behalf. The motto of the company is, in quotes, "We say sorry for you." Now, according to the article, the professional apologizers were middle-aged men and women with college degrees who dress in somber suits. They are lawyers, social workers, and teachers with excellent verbal ability and significant life experiences, and who are given additional training in counseling. Question: does a bought apology work? If someone wronged or offended you and then send a hired apologizer to make amends, would you be satisfied? It might depend on the circumstance, perhaps, you say, or perhaps upon the cost. Would you consider an expensive apology more meaningful than a cheap one? I have, out of respect of time, discussed the basic aspects of the effective and the ethical leadership. There is an added layer. I will mention this briefly to give us a glimpse into this universe, or this new normal, if you like. It is the adaptive challenge or the adaptive change. More and more companies, as well as public agencies, involved in the delivery of services face adaptive challenges. These are changes in societies, markets, technology, which require the leaders to clarify values, develop new strategies, and learn new ways of operating. The challenge is this: leaders are accustomed to solving problems themselves. They now need to take on new roles with adaptive changes, relationships, new values, and approaches to work. Adaptive change is distressing and requires unlearning of historical practices and values versus immutable values. The followers, the employees or the civil servants, are inclined towards being ambivalent about the sacrifices required of them and look to the leaders to shoulder the problems themselves. Ronald Heifetz, my lecturer at the John F. K. Kennedy School, shares this illustration. When a leopard threatens a band of chimpanzees, the leopard rarely succeeds in picking off a stray. The chimps know how to respond to this kind of threat. But when a man with an automatic rifle comes near, the routine responses fail. The chimps risk extinction in a world of poachers unless they figure out how to disarm the new threat. Similarly, companies and public agencies, which cannot learn quickly to adapt to new challenges, are likely to face their own form of extinction. So Ronald Heifetz suggests some ways for leaders faced with an adaptive change. The details are perhaps for another occasion, but essentially, the adaptive demands of our time require leaders who take responsibility without waiting for revelation or request. One can lead with no more than a question in mind. So making the observation that we are in a new normal post the elections has a problem. I attended two town hall meetings, one in Bishan and the other one in Tanjung Ru. The issue in Bishan was that the government wanted to build a daycare center. The issue in Tanjung Ru was the government wanted to build a rehab center. I went to the town hall meeting. It was a group like that. The setting was historical. In other words, they were sitting like that, and the MPs and all the others were sitting here. The process was historical. In other words, this is what they have been doing, like they have done in previous town hall sessions. The questions that were raised showed different expectations. The answers that were given were historical. And therefore, there was a disconnect between the constituencies as well as those who were responsible to take action. Remember the example that has been given to you of the chimpanzees. And now with that particular thought, I think knowing that you have questions, I am told that you are to grill me for the next half an hour to 40 minutes. I should conclude. And my conclusion is essentially this: leaders matter, leadership matters, leaders must be effective and ethical. But let me end with Invictus. I think you are familiar with this particular poem. Invictus is by William Ernest Henley, during Henley 1849 to 1903, so 20th century. And he writes, "Out of the night that covers me, black as the peat from pole to pole, I think whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstances I've not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeonings of chance my head is bloodied but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade, and yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid. It matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishments the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul."